Forensic artist Richard Neve has helped the police solve murder cases by reconstructing faces from skulls. In the hope of discovering more about the first Europeans, we've asked him to reconstruct the face of the Wassa skull. So this is Wassa?
This is Wassa. There we are.
It's wonderful to see him or her. We're not quite sure, are we?
No.
Fleshed out.
Touch androgynous, maybe, this one.
It's quite strange, actually, because this doesn't particularly look like a European or African or Asian. It looks sort of almost quite generic, but then I suppose that's what you'd expect from one of the earliest Europeans.
You look at this and you can think to yourself, it could go either way. It's almost as though it's a face in flux. It's got features which could go in any direction. It could become Negroid, it could become Southeast Asian, it could become European. There's the potential for all those different directions, and that's what I find so exciting about it.
Obviously you've made this in clay and that's why it's brown, but
yes,
in fact it's very likely that these earliest of Europeans were quite dark-skinned, much darker skinned than we think of Europeans being today.
Yes.
Because
yes.
at the end of the day, you know, they're only just arriving in Europe. They're coming from much more tropical places.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we may be looking at something which is actually quite lifelike.
We're not
here.
too far from...
No.
No.
I've been really excited to see what this face would end up looking like, and I do feel as though I'm getting much closer to our ancestors. But where did these first European people come from? And why do we find their bones in a Romanian cave? Previously, I found evidence that everyone outside Africa descends from one small group of people that left the continent around 70,000 years ago. Some of their descendants must have made it north, through the Middle East, towards modern-day Turkey. This is border country. 30 miles away, Turkey meets Syria and the Middle East. Today, everything in that direction might look alien and hostile, but 50,000 years ago, it was Europe, the land that lay ahead, which would be more dangerous than they could ever have imagined. Venturing this way, people would have been coming to lands far colder and more challenging than anything they'd experienced before. Traces of their journey all that time ago are few and far between. But some important clues have been unearthed in southern Turkey. And this is how we know that people came through Turkey at this point in time. Now, it might look utterly insignificant, but shells like this one were found at a place called Uçagizli on the Turkish coast, and they are vital clues. The hole in them suggests that they were pendants, perhaps part of a necklace, and the Uçagizli shell beads date back to around 42,000 years ago. They are the first pieces of evidence that we have as we follow the trail of our European ancestors. There may have been other routes into Europe, but the evidence we have seems to point in this direction. So I'm heading to Istanbul. Here, for a few Turkish lira, taxi drivers like Ihsan Ahmer carry their passengers between two continents.
That's Golden Horn.
Right.
And the
Tell you what, I'll hold that, you drive.
No, no, don't worry about that. I don't kill anybody yet. Allah, Allah. Why you don't trust me? Allah'ım ya Rabbi.
So, Isan, as a taxi driver, do you cross over between Asia and Europe every day?
Most people live in Asian side, working that side. Because most office and business here, more houses there.
Well, I'm here looking for traces of people who crossed the Bosphorus maybe 50, maybe 40,000 years ago.
My God, how can I know that time? Allah'ım ya Rabbi ya Resulallah, let my pray. This is true. I don't know how can this generation, how can I know that generation? My God, Alex, you are make me trouble that kind, but that's okay.
I bail out of the taxi and catch the ferry to cross from one continent to another. This is the Bosphorus, and here it separates Asia from Europe. This is one challenge our ancestors would not have faced. When they came this way, sea levels were much lower, and they could have walked across into Europe. But can we really retrace their steps using only a few shells and a scattering